Zen master, has a dog Buddha nature or not? Joshu answered, Mu. Mu is the negative symbol in Chinese meaning no thing or nay. Mumon's comment, to realize Zen, one must has to pass through the barrier of the patriarchs. Enlightenment always comes after the road of thinking is blocked. If you do not pass the barrier of the patriarchs, or if your thinking road is not blocked, whatever you think, whatever you do, is like a tangling ghost. You may ask, what is a barrier of a patriarch? This one word, Mu, is it. This is the barrier of Zen. If you pass through it, you will see Joshu face to face. Then you can work hand in hand with the whole line of patriarchs. Is this not a pleasant thing to do? If you want to pass this barrier, you must work through every bone in your body, through every pore in your skin, filled with this question, what is Mu? And carry it day and night. Do not believe it is the common negative symbol meaning nothing. It is not nothingness, the opposite of existence. If you really want to pass this barrier, you should feel like drinking a hot iron ball that you can neither swallow nor spit out. Then your previous lesser knowledge disappears. As a fruit ripening in your season, your subjectivity and objectivity naturally becomes one. It is like a dumb man who has a dream. He knows about it but cannot tell it. When he enters that condition, his ego shell is crushed and he can shake the heaven and more the earth. And move the earth. And move the earth. He is like a great warrior with a sharp sword. If a Buddha stands in his way, he will cut him down. If a patriarch offers him an obstacle, he will kill him, and he will be free in his way of birth and death. He can enter any world as if it were his own playground. I will tell you how to do this with this koan. Just concentrate your whole energy into this Mu, and do not allow any discontinuation. When you enter this Mu, and there is no discontinuation, your attainment will be as a candle burning and illuminating the whole universe. Has a dog Buddha nature? This is the most serious question of all. If you say yes or no, you lose your own Buddha nature. That's all I have on my page.
So now answer the question, what is Mu? Demonstrate that you know what Mu is.
I can't answer one way or the other. So, because if I do, I will lose my Buddha nature.
There's still a thing that is emptiness, that is this Mu thing, this no thing. So bring me it. Show me that you know what it is. I will read my part. Teisho on the koan. This koan is extremely short and simple. Because of this simplicity is uniquely valuable and is an excellent koan. Joshu is the name of a place in northern China, and Master Junin, who lived from 1778 to 1897 and lived in Kannon Temple at Joshu, is now generally known as Master Joshu. He was an exceptionally long-lived Zen master who died at the age of 120 years. Joshu was 57 years old when his teacher Nansen died. The great persecution of Buddhism by Emperor Bosu took place in Joshu's 67th year. Master Rinzai Gegen died in 1867 in Joshu's 90th year, and Master Gyozan died when he was in his 150th year, or 15th year. This means that Joshu lived toward the end of the Tang Dynasty when Zen with its creative spirits flourished in China. At the time, Joshu was one of the leading figures in Zen circles. People who described this Zen said his lips give off light and greatly respected him. Joshu was born in a village near Shoshufu in the southwestern part of Shantosho and entered a Buddhist temple when he was a young boy. Later, while he was still young, he came to Chishu to study under Master Nansen. When he first met Nansen, the latter was resting in bed. Nansen asked him, "Where have you been recently?" "At Zuizo, Master," and Zuizo literally means auspicious image, replied Joshu. "Did you then see the auspicious image?" the Master asked Joshu. Joshu said, "I did not see the image, but I have seen it reclining Tathagata." Tathagata, by the way, means Buddha. Nansen then got up and asked, "Have you already a master to study under or not?" Joshu replied, "I have." Nansen asked, "Who is he?" At this, Joshu came closer to Nansen, bowing to him, said, "I'm glad to see you so well in spite of such a severe cold." Nansen recognized in him unusual character and allowed him to be his disciple. After that, Joshu steadily carried on in his Zen studies under Nansen. When Joshu was 57 years old, his master Nansen died, and 4 years later, Joshu started on a pilgrimage with the determination, "Even a 7-year-old child, if he is greater than I am, I'll ask him to teach me. Even a 100-year-old man, if I am greater than he is, I'll teach him." He continued on a pilgrimage to deepen and refine his Zen spirituality until he reached his 80th year. Later, he stayed at Kannon-in Temple in Joshu and was active as leading Zen master of the time in northern China together with Rinzai. Rinzai being another Zen master. Wow, this keeps going on for like 10 pages, so I'm gonna get a drink of water quick.
Oh, wow. That's neat. I wish I had that book. I think I've listened to the audiobook before. Is it the same as the audio version that I've texted you before?
The audio only has the part that you read.
Oh, okay, yeah. It seems shorter.
Yeah, this book has a teisho on the koan written by the author. So a teisho is a long talk. Like a 20-minute talk, basically. Okay. In the autobiography of Joshu, a series of mondo are recorded. The koans are also called mondos. From this, a mondo means like an interaction between, like, I guess, a student and a master, and it's usually like a lengthy dialogue, but like they cut them down into one specific aspect of it, and then they call those the koans.
Oh.
Okay, there have been many attempts to interpret these mondo and to explain the koan in relation to them. We do not have to worry about such attempts here, but should directly grip the koan itself. Knowing well its context, Master Mumon presents a simple, direct, and clear koan. Its simplicity plays an important role. A monk once asked Master Joshu, "Has dog Buddha nature or not?" The monk This monk was well aware that all sentient beings have the Buddha nature without exception. This is therefore a piercingly effective and unapproachable question, which would not be answered if the master would say yes or no. The monk is demanding that Joshu show him the real Buddha nature, and he's not asking for its interpretation or conceptual understanding. What a cutting question. Joshu, like the genuine capable master that he was, answered Mu without the least hesitation. He threw himself, the whole universe, out as Mu in front of the questioner. Here is no Joshu, no world, but just Mu. This is the koan of Joshu's Mu. So Joshu, I guess, was this like character who was like kind of unusual and would give kind of like strange answers to questions, and he would often like just like shout at people.
Sounds like
one word.
Right.
One word would just shout at people. So in this one, he just gives one word shout, and everyone's just like, "That's the answer." So they wrote it down. The experience of the Buddha nature itself is creatively expressed here by Mu. Although literally Mu means no, in this case it points to the incomparable satori which transcends both yes and no, to the religious experience of the truth one can attain when he casts away his discerning mind. It has nothing to do with the dualistic interpretation of yes and no, being and non-being. This is truth itself, the absolute itself. Joshu, the questioning monk, and the dog were only incidental to the story, and they do not have any vital significance in themselves. Unless one grasps the koan within himself as he lives here and now, it ceases to be a real koan. You should not read it as an old story. You yourself have to be directly Mu, and make not only the monk, but Joshu as well, show the white feather. Then Buddha nature is Mu, Joshu is Mu. Not only that, you yourself and the whole universe are nothing but Mu. Further, Mu itself falls far short. It is ever the unnameable It. Master Daye says, Joshu's Mu, work directly at it. Be just it. He is telling us to be straightforwardly no self. Be Mu, and present it right here. This is the very inviting instruction indeed. Once my own teacher, Master Bukai, threw his Naioi, a stick about 50 centimeters long, which a Zen master always carries with him, in front of me and demanded, so this is the stick that they whack people with to wake them up, like if they're falling asleep. That you request it, and then they'll hit you on the back.
Yeah, right. I think I've seen stuff like that.
Like he carries a stick while people are meditating, and then like if you're tired, you bend over and he hits you on the back, and that wakes you up. I only did it once because they don't do it much in America, just because people don't like the idea of Zen masters hitting people.
The sticks, yeah.
So they don't do it much in America, but the Naioi, or the Nioi, or I don't know how to pronounce it, but like it's part of Zen. He goes, okay, so Zen Master Bukai, the author's teacher said, what's the name of the author? Oh, his name is Zenkai Shibayama. He was the Zen master of the important non-Zenji Zen monastery in Kyoto for 25 years. He was a professor at Hanazono and Otani universities, the author of a number of works in Japanese, and the chief abbot of non-Zenji organization of some 500 Rinzai Zen temples in Japan. Shibayama Yoshi died in 1974. So I don't know when this was written, like I can't tell, but it was written by that Shibayama guy. That's who wrote this.
Right, okay.
So anyway, his then Master Bukai, sticks his Nyoi stick in front of him, And he says, now transcend the yes and no of this noi. And he did not even allow me a moment's hesitation. Training in Zen aims at the direct experience of breaking through to concrete reality. And breaking through to reality has to be personally attained by oneself. Zen can never be an idea or knowledge which are only shadows of reality. You must reason out that Mu transcends both yes and no, that it is the absolute oneness where all dualistic discrimination is exhausted. While you are thus conceptualizing real, Mu is lost forever. Or you may reason out that Mu transcends, but while you are thus conceptualizing real, Mu is lost forever. My teacher also once asked me, show me the form of Mu. When I said it has no form whatsoever, he pressed me, saying I would see the form that has no form. How cutting and drastic. Unless one can freely and clearly present the form of Mu, it turns out to be a meaningless corpse. In the biography of Master Hakuin, we read the following moving story of his first encounter with the teacher, Master Shoshu. Shoshu asked Hakuin, tell me, what is Master Joshu's Mu? Hakuin elatedly replied, pervading the universe, not a spot whatsoever to take a hold of. As soon as he had given that answer, Shoshu took hold of Hakuin's nose and gave it a twist and broke it. I am quite at ease to take hold of it, said Joju, laughing aloud. The next moment he released it and abused Hakuin. You, dead monk in a cave, are you self-satisfied with such a Mu? This completely put Hakuin out of countenance. We have to realize that this one word Mu has such exhausted depth and lucidity that one has really grasped it as once one has really grasped it as his own, he has the ability to penetrate all Zen koans. Often people remark that Mu is an initial koan for beginners, which is a great mistake. A koan in Zen is fundamentally different from questions and problems in general. Etymologically, the term koan means the place where the truth is. In actual training, its role to smash up our dualistic consciousness and open our inner spiritual eye to a new vista. In actual cases, there may be differences in the depth of spirituality and ability of Zen students who break through a koan. This is inevitable for human beings living in the world. For any koan, however, there should be no such discrimination or gradation, as initial koan for beginners are difficult ones for the advanced. An old Zen master said, if you break through one koan, hundreds and thousands of koans have all been penetrated at once. Another master said, it's like cutting a reel of thread. One cut and all is cut. The use of a koan in Zen training developed spontaneously in the Southern Sung dynasty in China, when a reminiscent traditionalist tendency began to prevail in Zen circles. In the early period of Southern Song, Joshu's Mu was already being used widely as a koan. Mumon himself was driven into the abyss of great doubt by his koan, and finally had the experience of breaking through it. And by the way, my own comment, that's kind of the purpose of it, is to have you sitting there going, what the fuck is this? You're like having a huge like moment of doubt about like everything. About like where you feel like you have to review your whole life, and that's when you find the answer. Out of his own training and experience, Mumon himself was driven into the abyss of great doubt by this koan, and finally had the experience of breaking through it. Out of his own training and experience, he must have extracted the most essential part of Sever Mondo and presented it to his disciple as a simple, direct koan. This koan is taken from a mondo between Joshu and a monk, and Joshu Zenji Guroku, literally the sayings of Master Joshu, and a few other books record similar mondo. In the chapter Joshu Junin, in the book Goto Egan, Volume 4, we read, a monk asked Joshu, has a dog the Buddha nature or not? The master said Mu. The monks asked, The Buddhas above down to creeping creatures like ants all have Buddha nature. Why is it the dog has not? Because he has ignorance and attachment, the master replied. Joshu Zenji Goroku, or the book, sayings of Master Joshu, also has the following motto. A monk asked, has a dog the Buddha nature or not? The monk said, Mu, or the master says, Mu. Monk says, even creeping... Oh wait, I just read that one. Another monk asked Joshu, has the dog the Buddha nature or not? The master said, ooh, which means yes. The master asked, having the Buddha nature, why is he in such a dog body? Just keep in mind, they eat dogs in China, and they hate dogs in China. And the master says, knowingly he dared to be so. Although generally Joshu is supposed to have originated this mondo on the Buddha nature, we read the following mondo in the biography of Master E. Khan, who lived from 755 to 817, of Kozenji at Keiko. I guess that's where he's from, where he taught, and where he was a monk. The monk says, has the dog the Buddha nature or not? The master says, yes. Who was the Chinese word for yes. And monk says, have you mastered the Buddha nature or not? Master says, I have not. The monk says, all sentient beings have the Buddha nature. Why is it you alone, master, have not? The master says, I am not among all sentient beings. The monk says, if you are not among sentient beings, are you then a Buddha or not? The master says, I am not a Buddha. And the monk says, what kind of thing are you after all? And the master says, I am not a thing either. And the monk says, can it be seen and thought of? The master says, even if you try to think about it and know it, you are unable to do so. It is therefore called unknowable. And that's why he says he does not have Buddha nature. And this is from the book Oku Dentu Roku, Volume 7.
That's a fun name.
Let us put aside for the time being historical studies of the koan Mu as a koan is to open our spiritual eye to reality, to Mu, that is, Joshu Zen. This is the sole task of its koan, and everything else is just complementary and not of primary importance. We may simply read about it for information. All sentient beings, without exception, have the Buddha nature. This is the fundamental truth of non-dualism and equality. On the other hand, this actual world of ours is dualistic and full of discrimination. The above mondo presents to us basic contradiction between the fundamental truth of non-dualism and actual phenomenon. The ancient masters made us face the fact that we human beings from the very beginning have been living in this fundamental contradiction. It was the compassion of the masters that led them to try thus to intensify their disciples' great doubt, their spiritual quest, and finally lead them to Satori by breaking through it. If here one really breaks through this koan, which uniquely presents before him the core of human contradiction, he can see for himself, this genuine Zen eye, what these mondo are trying to tell him. So my only comment on, so this isn't done, there's another one. There's another.
Well, that might be a good place to leave today before we meditate, though.
That's only halfway through it.
Right.
I could keep going.